make plans.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's get going here. Press record.
Hey, just a quick thing. I just got this iPad. How do you I get to just like the regular screen and not everybody else?
To the
Or do you
regular
do that?
screen. I'm not sure, to
Huh.
be honest with you. What do you mean
Hey,
from your iPad?
yeah, I'm getting older, man, and hating technology.
Ah,
I'm just
never
kidding.
heard that one before.
Yeah, you just never heard anybody admit it.
Yeah, no, I hear them admit it every day.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah. All right. Maybe someone can help me out. Can you guys see my screen? Okay.
Hmm? Yeah, you just did it. I got a full view now. Thank you.
Okay. All right. All right, guys. So thank you for spending some time with me today. Today's conversation is going to be around how to use data to drive your contracting business. Now, I'm going to be super clear about my objective today. My objective is, and I think you gave me a great intro there, Jacob, is not to overwhelm you with technology on this side because it can become relatively overwhelming, but like looking at it in a more simplistic way of using data to make decisions. All right. Now, before I get going, out of curiosity, all right, how many of you guys, and give me a one in the chat if you are using data to make decisions in your business currently?
I feed Chat GPT a lot of data and then ask it questions based off that data.
Hmm. Okay. All right. But are we feeding it things like job costing?
Definitely. I had go through my estimates with Chat GPT to try to see if we're in the price range or if we're ripping a customer off, charging too much, or and it's very helpful with that.
Okay. All right. That's a great example. Is anyone else here? And maybe just throw a one in the chat if you are using data to make data-driven decisions. We'll see how this resonates. Okay. Zero. Right. So, and believe me, you're not alone. Okay. So I would say that the majority of our customers that we start working with are starting off in a zero data decision. So if we don't have data, all right, what's our forced decision making framework? What do we have? How do we make decisions? Where does the decision come from if we're not using data? Kind of a
Previous
trick question.
mistakes.
Okay. That's so trial and error. Yep. That's one place, right? But most of the time we're making reactive decisions. All right. We're making decisions based on the moment and how we feel in our gut. Okay. And that's a scary complex because a lot of us are, if we're trying to grow and go from somewhere you've never been before to somewhere, new, all right, you won't have an experience for that, right? So it's very easy to be misled by our feelings and our emotions in running our business. Now, the good news is, all right, is that people that genuinely follow what I'm going to share with you today, all right, can get themselves off of the roller coaster ride. All right. And I would say the majority of contractors, again, a lot of what we do is just stabilizing them on their numbers and getting them to understand that, hey, it's not rocket science, all right, but it's consistency and discipline that get you to operating from a very high level and using data to avoid emotional reactive decisions, to avoid, silly decisions like shutting off marketing, because we're too busy. That's a data-driven decision that you wouldn't be making if you had the right information in your hands. So let's get into this. All right. So again, like I said, most contractors that we encounter anyways believe that hard work alone drives profit. All right. Relying on gut feelings and not numbers is very common, right? This mindset leads to missed profit and wasted effort, the big time. Okay. And what literally keeps a lot of people just stuck, right? Why? The guesswork hurts your business. No tracking is no way to fix leaks in profit. All right. Surprises, cost overruns, low margins, wasted marketing. You can't improve what you don't measure. All right. It's one of my key principles here at Contractor AI. Just like if you don't document, you can't delegate. Okay. If you can stick to those two main principles, right, a lot of the decisions you're making now can be challenged. All right. 60% of contractors said they had jobs go over budget due to poor tracking, right? So when we think of where overruns and slow crews and bad leads come from, all right, we have decisions that we could make if we're looking at the right data that would be blatantly obvious, all right, and without data can be very gray area or unknown. So how many of you guys have signed up to a marketing program that did absolutely nothing for you? All right. Hundreds, hundreds for me. I've tried everything. Okay. And again, that's a very damaging thing. And how many of you have continued said marketing program longer than you should have? All right. Well, I was that because we were leading ourselves with hope, right? And hope in this business is a very dangerous, dangerous thing to use. Okay. So I want to give you guys a really easy, straightforward framework to use that you have no excuses not to use leaving this call today. So number one is what key numbers. I often see this we're one side or the other. I have contractors that come in that want to track everything down to the finite scale, and they're on the complete left where they're trying to track too much. And then I have contractors that come in that don't track anything. All right. I'm going to share with you the most important numbers that anybody here will benefit from and what they're going to help lead your business. So first of all, profit per job. Okay. Net profit per job after overhead, after all expenses, net profit per job. Okay. Lead source. Where are your leads coming from? Where are your opportunities originating from? Okay. Crew productivity, right? Very, very rarely tracked. And then we wonder why we don't have productive crews. Okay. So again, I often use the analogy, and I'll use it here today again. If we were running a professional sports team, all right, and we decided that we were going to have no scoreboard, all right, and remove the referees, are we even playing a game anymore? What are we doing? That's just exercise at that point, right? No one's really going to hear. It's not going to be the same as when we're using those things to drive the results. Okay. So I want you guys to think that you were developing a professional sports team. And in a professional sports team, all right, they track everything, right? How many hits were made, how many shots were taken. Like everything is counted for a reason because when you track and when you measure, you can manage, you can improve. When you don't, though, we're just out there freestyling. All right. And again, very little decisions can be made, and it's very difficult to.
Oh Lord, there
Hold
we
on a
go.
second. There we go. Let's get everyone muted there. Okay. So again, crew productivity doesn't have to be complicated, but it has to be something you're committed to doing. All right. Job costs. Again, understanding your job costs, understanding, your actual versus, what it came out to be, and margin. All right. 80% of the top performing contractors track at least three key metrics. Okay. If not more. Now you can break these down by departments. I don't want to get this too complicated and get too far into the weeds on this, but those are your minimum KPIs. All right. So tracking job profitability every time. How many of you guys, give me a one in the chat if you are doing your job costing on every single job? Mm. Seems to me that it's only the contractor AI clients that are doing it. That's okay though. All right. Okay. So in reality, job cost is basically what the variance is between what you estimated and what it actually costs. All right. Why is that information important? Why is that information important? Well, I'll tell you. All right. there is little to no chance that you are going to make improvements. All right. Especially as your business grows. And I'll give you a very good example of this. In my business, if I can improve 2 or 3%, I'm ecstatic. That means millions of dollars for me. Okay. And when you get to that stage, I didn't get there. I didn't get there by, chance. I didn't get there by gut decisions. I didn't get there by being reactive. I got there by looking at the numbers and making informed decisions on how I was going to improve. All right. Who here believes that your pricing can be a weapon? It can be weaponized. Anybody believe that? Or not believe that, I should say?
What does that even mean?
Right? Right? It's a concept, eh? Let me share my concept with you. All right. When you weaponize pricing, meaning that you are capable of pricing a job within a 2 or between 2 and 5% variance. Okay. Meaning that you can call your shot damn near every single time on a job. All right. Within 2 to 5% variance. All right. That means that an economy can go up, can go down, can go sideways, can go all over the place, and you're going to beat the odds. Okay. Every single time. So, meaning that you could drive out competition. All right. So, think of what Home Depot does when they move into, or any big box store when they move into a new area. What do they do first? They push out all their competition, right? They know their numbers to such a fraction, okay, that they know exactly how far they can push the system before it breaks. Okay. So when the economy goes down and we got to be more competitive, most contractors don't have the skill sets to adjust to the moving economy. Therefore, they have these big, churns in their revenue. Okay. Again, how many more jobs could you have actually won? All right. Knowing your numbers to that kind of degree. And that's what I mean by weaponizing. All right. The other way I look at weaponizing is when I know what my competitors' prices are and they're stupid to keep their prices the same month to month, year to year. All right. They're sitting ducks. They're prey to me. All right. Because all I'm going to do now, all right, is adjust my pricing for that area. All right. The other side of it is I know where the resources are. All right. And most contractors play this game. All right. They don't actually look at this as being their weapon, their unfair advantage on the market. All right. So if 90% of contractors aren't doing this, but you are, all right, that's a weapon. That's an unfair advantage. Hmm. Does that make sense? Right. And it's always being profitable. Right. That's the key principle here. All right. I hear people talk so much about, oh, I can't price this, I can't price that. And the same people that tell me that, oh, that I could never get that. The same people who tell me that are the ones that are the sloppiest with their job costing. They couldn't even actually tell me that and prove that to me. All right. So
Can we
again,
ask a question now or do we wait till the end?
yeah, sure, go for it.
Just real quick, it's because the way we do our pricing is we do materials, labor for what it is. We don't jack up any margins on those. And then we do a 40% margin after. We keep it that way all the time so our customers know exactly what they're expecting. Is that bad?
That's dangerous. Okay, so let me give you an example. Okay, you have an overhead cost that's variable, goes up and down, right? So meaning if you did $0 in January, all right, would your overhead cost be the same in February?
Yes, they
No.
would be.
Well, it would your fixed cost would be, but
Yeah,
your variable cost would not. So it literally think about it.
because we're having to pay for January still.
Have you ever had a month with the exact same revenue?
No.
Okay. So how can your price stay exactly the same? How many of you guys have had, a really dry spell, 3 months, right? Where you've done considerably less? Everybody, right? We all
Just
ride that roller coaster. Okay. So
got over it. Yeah.
exactly. So what we have to do, and good business people know, is that there's times of the year, all right, when work is easy. Okay. We need to plan for those. But the way we do it is we call it overhead recovery. All right. Is that anytime, and this is the mistake. So I see it over and over again. Contractors have a bad month. What do? They drop their price. All right. They try to do it as low as they possibly can. And 9 times out of 10, they lose. What they're not recognizing is that's a natural shoulder. So the work slows down. All right. It doesn't have anything to do with what your price is to the customer. All right. It has everything to do with market shifts. All right. And what they're not doing is considering that loss that they've taken and actually calculating that into their next month recovery. Okay. So
That's why we
meaning,
stay at 40% though. We never drop, you know?
but now yes, but remove 25% of that for overhead, let's say. And by the way, the lowest overhead that I have ever seen, okay, that's realistic is about 20% of your gross sales. Okay. Even if you're not like, even if you could do it less than that, all right, one day you want to own a legitimate business with, the full overhead and office and staff and everything else. So why would you not be charging a professional rate for your overhead? Does that make sense? So like
Yes.
again, 25%. Okay. So take that away. Take that off the table. Now you're at 15. What happens when your margin starts to erode? Okay, so this is the biggest problem. And when people don't do job costing, you know how margins get eroded? All right, going into it, and then we have changes. We didn't account for the material price going up. Maybe our labor was a bit higher. Okay. But those job cost codes, which you should be using, don't get adjusted. And then we just run the same mistake over again, right? The same bad formula over and over again. And what you end up with is broke at the end of the year. All right. All it takes is one person not paying, one little thing, and that margin's gone. All right. So, again, when you're using your numbers to actually drive decisions and you're doing things not from your gut or your feeling, because you think you're doing your customer a favor. I'm just doing it at 40% every single time. You're not. All right. And you're not doing yourself a favor either, because the other side of it is one day you will encounter somebody who recognizes what you're doing in your pricing. All right. And easily can come in and snipe your business from you. All right. Can easily start to push you out. All right. And it happens all the time, right? It happens all the time. I mean, again, if I were looking at somebody doing that, the first thing I'm going to do is go and find your resources, meaning your manpower, and I'm going to offer them more money than you can afford to pay them. All right. Why can I do that? Because that's the easiest way to market. All right. Now, knowing my numbers, I'm gonna make sure you can't produce the work that you've got. All right, at those low margins, because I don't want anybody low pricing in my markets. Right. I don't care. Like again, we're gonna play the game, or I'm gonna strip you of those resources, or I'm gonna do my best, I should say. Right.
That works a little different in a border town, but
Well, but it does it. Right? Like again, at the end of the day, all right, those are weaknesses when you don't have enough profit built in your job, when you can't call your shots, right? When you can't predictably have that profit. And the only way to get there, guys, is consistency, discipline, looking at those job costs, whether you like it or not, right? Whether it's good or it's bad, right? Because that's numbers don't lie. Everything else, everything else, literally, all right? Your guys, your staff, like all of it can be, you know, an illusion. All right. But the one thing that's never going to lie to you properly done is your numbers, right? So make decisions from a base of numbers and knowing where you're at. All right. The other big place that we see the biggest loss, all right, and your leads, where do your leads come from? Right. Knowing that and focusing on the things that are working and getting rid of the stuff that's not working quick. All right. I can't tell you how many guys have told me, oh, I'm on Angie's list or I'm on this and that. And like when we start to really track this stuff, we figure out that they have a negative ROI, right? They have a negative return, meaning they're spending more money or putting out more risk than it's worth in the end. Meanwhile, they're ignoring their referrals, or they're ignoring their website, or and these things are producing quality jobs. They're producing actual results, and they're not doing anything to improve that. Instead, they're out there chasing shiny objects, right? They're out there chasing things that could convert or could. Meanwhile, look, if they just knew their numbers, if they just had the right information in front of them, they could focus on the things that are working, right? Now, one of my personal favorites, and this is very common, especially I mean, I see this even in full scale large companies, and especially companies that are have in-house crews, in-house hourly crews. There's a funny little thing that starts to happen as you grow, as you get beyond, almost beyond them. All right, how many people here believe that their staff would love to see their company grow? How many believe that?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Your employees are there. Fuck yeah, let's grow. I want to
Yep.
see you succeed. Okay, good. I love that. I would say that that's the minority. Okay. Most situations that I encounter and that I see, again, we go in and we provide open heart surgery to some companies. We often find out when things are actually being tracked about crew productivity, all right, that they are better off having subcontractors by a scale of probably 2 to 1, all right, than having their own in-house staff. And the reason that is, all right, is that their crews are unproductive. And the reason they're unproductive is because nothing's been measured. They have no daily standard, no accountability to productivity. They have no drive or ambition. And it's just like I said, if you have a professional sports team, all right, that doesn't get measured, all right, you're going to get, mediocre at best, right? Put yourself in that position. If there was nothing to drive you other than the boss just saying work harder, do this or do that or micromanage, all right, what motivation do you have to actually perform? There's none. And I would say again, most contractors just expect that their employees are out there just, thinking and feeling like they are. And that's not the truth. And what I see most often, all right, and what we do when we start working with any new contractors, we immediately start recruiting and hiring because we know if we help them even grow 10%, all right, and if you look at any quick growing company or any really fast growing company, and you ask them, they have about a 25 to 30% turnover immediately. Okay. Meaning that people weren't really on the boat for you to get better. And that's just natural human, tendency. They don't want you. People don't like change. Okay. Especially employees. They don't like change, right? Especially when it's been in their favor for so long. They could just go, drag their ass all day and get paid a really good wage. And all they had to do was, keep you fluffed up. All right. But when we start to look at it, and most owners don't like looking at it, I can assure you that. And the proof is in front of them. They're forced into a decision, aren't they? Right. And most of the time, when we have these hourly crews, this is where the truth ends up coming out. And it's so easy to spot, it's so easy to identify. All right. But we avoid it. All right. And this is the prime place where we want to be using data to actually understand what was the hours we budgeted? What did it actually come out at? Right. And then the last thing I'm going to say is like, let's say you do have an A player, let's say, or a B player. I'd like to say, I don't like A players, but B player. All right. That was really solid for you every day, showed up, did his job, did it well, and went home. Okay. But here we are. We have a C player that's got a big mouth that's just in everybody's ear, and we're promoting them and rewarding them for no reason other than they were there. And I say that happens a lot as well. Okay. You have to learn to reward the people that are producing, all right, and push out the people who are not. That's how it works, right? You're only going to do that when you start to track data. Otherwise, it's a favoritism competition, and that's not a good pathway to go down, all right, and you can be quickly misled. So to give you some context here, crews that tracked productivity finished jobs 20% faster. Okay. What would 20% of your labor cost back mean to your bottom line right now? Anyone? 20%? Who would take that in a heartbeat? Right?
All day
And
long.
right? And you know what the funny thing is about crews being faster, right? They generally get higher they generally have a higher customer satisfaction rating. And you know what else is really funny? Now that I bring it up, um the crews that move faster also stick with your company longer. Right? There's a higher retention rate. All right. And the reason why is a simple human requirement. They know when they're doing good, they know when they're doing bad. All right. There is no gray area. All right. It's visible, it's in the open. All right. Just do that and get yourself that 20% and have happier employees, happier staff, a better culture. Like, again, do you think anybody just wants to show up for you for the next 40 years, not know when they're doing a good job, not know, and only get bitched at when they're doing a shit job? Like, what the hell is that? What is that? Right? I think that's the definition of prison, right? So don't be those guys. Like, and it's simple, right? You're not, when you're tracking these things, yes, you're doing it for your business, but you're also doing it for the team and the people that want to succeed with you. All right. You have to give them those pathways. All right. And it can't be built on emotions or people's opinions. Okay. So spot the margin leaks, a fun little game that we like to play here at Contractor AI, which is always pretty easy. Not going to lie, but reviewing costs weekly. You catch the overruns before they grow. All right. How many times have you guys waited till the end of a big project to find out you lost money? All right. And does the feeling ever get better? Do you ever be like, oh, at least I'll get them next time? Does it ever do you ever get fired up and like, yeah, hell no, right? It's never a good feeling to lose money, is it? Right? And again, I can't tell you how many times where guys are sure they made money. They tell me, "Oh, I definitely made money on that project." Then we do this little practice with them where we actually go through and show them their numbers, and it's a very different story. All right? And again, I will be full disclosure. I was one of those guys too, right? I spent 10 years ignoring those numbers and not knowing they weren't good, knowing they were bad, but still just working harder and harder, hoping that they would, I would somehow outwork them. All right. And the reality was I could just look at my bank account and know, right? That it couldn't be a good picture. But look at all this work we're doing. Look at all this stuff that it's got to pay off soon. Right. Of course it'll come. That is don't do that. Don't do that. Okay. And again, small problems when you're small become huge problems as you grow. All right. They become enormous and things you cannot get over. All right. So at the end of the day, job costing is a discipline and it's a practice, but when put in place, all right, you will never look back. All right. The reason why is because it gives you that stability. It gives you that confidence. It gives you, like I said, it can be absolutely weaponized. All right. So again, when you're reviewing jobs and then you're looking at a group of jobs, it's going to be very easy to spot where you're losing. It's either labor, material, other overhead. Like again, it's not rocket science, but it's something when looked at properly makes significant differences in your business and in your life. Because hey, listen, I don't know about you, but when the bank account's in the negative, all right, and I've lost money on jobs, I don't feel like a fucking winner. Do you? Anybody here? It's pretty hard to feel like a winner that you are, right? And in fact, you can almost feel sorry for yourself, not that you should, all right? But like I work so hard and I hear it over and over again. I put everything I have into 70, 80-hour weeks sometimes to have nothing to show for it. And I'm going to say it comes down to the simple things that you are not doing as a base and a core as a contractor. All right. They were avoidable problems. All right. So let's use simple tools. Don't overthink this. All right. I want to make sure that nobody leaves here with, without an action plan. If you're not doing these things, if you're not planning these things, if you don't have these things in place, all right, use a whiteboard. Right. Simple little game that we play. We have a sheet metal shop here at J Carter Roofing. Again, we've mostly automated, but there was a time when we used to have manual breaks. And a great big whiteboard. And when we would have crew changes, all right, they would track the number of pieces they were making or capable of making per hour. All right. And they would race. It worked out excellent for us for a long, long time. We still have a form of tracking like that, but that's all it took. Right. That was how many pieces did you make in this shift? How much was your production? And we had a standard. They couldn't make less than this, or else that would be a flag. All right. And they were always trying to beat what the best record was. All right. Again, you will see a difference in production. You will see a better output. All of you guys can apply this in one way or another, right? And again, if it's a whiteboard, who cares? It doesn't have to be fancy. Okay. If it's spreadsheets, cool. Anybody interested in the job cost sheets that we use, just reach out. We'll give those to you. Like, I want you to leave here with no excuse. Okay. Start simple. Make sure that you're doing the simple things first. All right. A lot of times I see it pretty consistency. We want to go from crawling to sprinting, meaning that you see this fancy piece of software, this, this spreadsheet or whatever, and all of a sudden you imagine yourself being there tomorrow. It doesn't work like that. All right. It all starts with basic discipline. Again, if you can't do things manually, I don't suggest you try to automate. I don't suggest you try to, build a program around it. I suggest you go back to your basics, do what feels right for you, but do it. That's the point I'm trying to make. All right. Don't talk about it. Don't think about it. Don't debate about it. Don't spend the next 10 years researching about it. All right. Do it. Do it today. Okay. Stop thinking about it. Get these things in place. Okay. So what does data in action look like? All right, for real contractors. And we have some real contractors. Maybe I'll pick on one here. Greg. Greg, I'm gonna pick on you. I see you sitting there, right? We by the way, Greg's a longtime client of Contractor AI and a personal friend of mine that we work very closely with him on. And Greg, how many data-driven decisions do we make?
Lots.
Right?
To see how our advertising is working,
Mm-hmm.
seeing if, uh, oh, just so many different ways. You can do that in our costing.
Mm-hmm.
We can tell how we're doing as far as um, our call closing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just helpful in so many ways, especially on our profit margin, how we're doing. Are we
Mm-hmm.
consistent on that? Do
Right?
we have to make changes there
How
or
much can we
not?
afford for marketing? Like,
Yeah,
so
all those things.
right. So I'd love to share just another little quick plug. Greg has Cindy, that's a CSR for Greg. And when we started tracking her closing, all right, so over the phone closing, we were at about 40%. All right. Since we started tracking, Cindy's improved it to 70%. All right. What would that mean to everyone here? Like just tracking that number, right? Providing the training where it was necessary. Like, I mean, again, she's on this call as well, and I have to give her a great praise because she leaned in and we've got it. We've got a great system, right? We've got a really repeatable, manageable system going. And it again, I don't think we would have got the same results if we hadn't used our numbers, right? If we hadn't consistently been seeing those, where do we need to improve, right? So again, guys, think about these real world situations, and this is what leads to better performance. All right. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I should say, right? Championships are won by inches. And like I said, it doesn't get easier as you grow. All right. These things, you can't outwork these things. You either get them in place while you're small and you become disciplined around them. All right. Or you suffer the consequences when you do grow. And the consequences are scary, to say the least. All right. I've personally had, $4 or $5 million company with zero tracking, right? You can imagine the headaches that I've had and the experiences I've gone through, all the way to actually burning my whole business down. All right, that's a story for another time. But again, that's the course you're putting yourself on. All right, and it's not good for you. All right, so you, the business owner, making all these major decisions. All right, what to buy, when to buy, how to buy, like who to hire, who's a good employee, who's a staff member. You're making all those from gut. I'm sorry, you're going to live a very stressful life. All right, because it's impossible to be right every time. Okay. On the other hand, when we use our data, it takes that stress, it takes that anxiety away. You make smarter decisions. You start to build around, the laws of numbers. Okay. And as long as you are building a business around real numbers and real data, all right, the decisions are actually pretty easy, but have huge impact. Right. And this is where we see companies grow profitably, double in size, triple in size, profitably, like actually money in the bank at the end of the year for once. Right. So again, how can this translate for you, right? So a contractor who tracked their lead source, cut their ad spend, double their profit. What? Okay. Cruise logs revealed top performers. Simple there, right? We know who our top performers are. We reward them, all right? Improved our morale, right? Weekly reviews caught overruns. Overruns that were happening real time, not after the job is done, guys. Like real time. We can make real time corrections. All right. Those are the places to make them. Let's not lose money and then find out about it. Let's stop it while it's happening. All right. And these are the kind of indicators that can be on simple reports, simple data, simple information. All right. No one has to feel overwhelmed here. Okay. We're talking about 5 KPIs, 5 metrics that are being tracked. Right. So contractors using data see a 2 times faster growth. Right. Let that sink in for a second. Everybody here, I'm sure you're here because you have a drive to grow. to be successful in your business. I don't think anyone's here wasting their time. They all want to grow their business. Cool. All right. But there's a very specific formula that you want to follow, and I'm sharing it with you. All right. At the very base level that will allow you to do that consistently over and over again. Okay. So let's avoid some of the common data mistakes. All right. The common data mistakes that I see, and like I said, there's a left and a right to this, is the contractor who tries to track too many numbers, right? Tries to track things that don't matter. All right. You've got to pick 1 to 2 KPIs per department that you have. All right. And do them consistently and make sure that you have good data in, good data out. All right. And like I said, if it's too complicated to put it through a computer, don't do that. All right. Or hire us and we'll help you do that. Again, don't make this hard. All right. If data is not your thing, get somebody who it is, that they can visually show you data. They can visually give you the picture of what's happening. All right. And don't ignore data. Don't ignore it. How many owners here have probably got this information? All right. They have accountants, bookkeepers, they have an admin that are doing these things, but they're just not looking at it. They're not making a habit. They don't have it on their schedule. Right. If you looked at my schedule right now on Fridays, all right, I have a 30-minute slot where I am reviewing financials. Now, I'll be honest with you, it's not my favorite thing to do. Right. I do it all week with customers. Like, the last thing I want to do is really look at mine and again, but I do it anyways. All right. I do it because within 3 or 4 KPIs, I can spot where problems are. That's all I need to run, a $12 million business. It's all I need. Okay. And when there's a problem, I can drill down. All right. I can go, I see a problem forming here. Cash flow has slowed down. Why is that? All right. We're going to go to the next thing. Let's figure out what's causing this. All right. Now I'm going to go to my AP, my AR, what's caused that? Okay, great. And again, luckily for me now, I have managers, all right, that I can just be like, show me your report. Tell me what's going on. Right. I get to coach the situation now. Right. I've taught people how to manage these things as well. Right. So my point, do it weekly, put it in your schedule. All right. Shut off your phone. Look at the data. All right. Get clear about what your objective is for next week before you leave the office on Friday. Okay. If you do that one little thing and you get that into your discipline, all right, big things will change in your business. And more importantly, God damn it, it's confidence. It's confidence, guys. You got to have confidence in yourself when you have an opportunity to grow. How many times have you had opportunity and you didn't take it because you weren't sure? Oh, if I could get the man, or if I could get the, all that stuff is an excuse. You were giving yourself an excuse and you're purposely playing small. And I hate that. I'm out to destroy that in the contracting world. All right. And there's only one way I'm going to destroy it. And it's one person reading their data at a time. Okay. It's one person knowing that, hey, you know what? Just because my gut's telling me to stop doesn't mean I should be stopping. It means I should be going harder. And that's when big things happen. All right. I'm telling you. So trust me on this. Just one little thing, right? Just start to review it, even if it's not perfect yet. Okay. Don't delay. All right. This conversation for everyone that's here, this is about taking action today, right? Tomorrow is Friday, right? I want to hear from you guys that you have done this one thing, and that's review the data. Take a look at your job costing, review your last job costing, put it in your calendar, make shit happen. If you're not doing it, and I didn't see too many ones on my chat, so I know I'm talking to the right people here. Okay. No excuses. All right. Excuses are for poor people. Does anybody here want to be poor? You can catch that too, right? No, we don't want to be poor. We want to be successful. We want to have a business that operates without us. Okay. I'm telling you, this is where it starts from. Right. 40% of contractors quit tracking after 1 month. Surprise, surprise. All right. Either because they got a little bit of pain. All right. Once you start, you can't stop. All right. Make it whether you like it or not. All right. These are the things that you must do as a responsible business owner, as a responsible contractor, and to put yourself in the top 10% of contractors actually making money in this market, not the 90% who are not. All right. Who wants to be in the 10%? I better see some ones in the chat. Tell me who wants to be in the top 10% of contractors in the market right now? Who has a deep desire to win? right? Awesome. Okay. Quick wins that we can deploy, that we can do this week by tomorrow. All right. First one, track the profit on your next job. Okay. I want profit, real profit, not gross profit, real profit after your overhead, after everything has been removed. Okay. What's your net profit? Okay. That's a very sobering number to look at. All right. It's unfortunate. And again, the thing about numbers, all right, is they have no feelings. They don't, they're indiscriminate. All right. And again, you can be on the right side, you can be on the wrong side, but at least trust that the numbers are telling the truth. Okay. Be it cold or be it warm. So I also want you to ask every new lead where they found you. Okay. Pretty simple. Review your last week's jobs for margin leaks. Okay. So take last week's jobs, all right, and very easily go through them. Where did we lose? Did we lose in labor? Was it on material? All right. Was it on that rental? Okay. Or we just take too long to do the job, increasing our overhead, right? These are easy things. At least then you have a solid base to know what to improve. All right. Too many times we get caught chasing shiny objects or just doing what we already know because, facing these things are painful. All right. It's not pleasant. It's not nice when we know we're losing, right? But the only way to start winning is actually coming and facing that challenge and turning it into your weapon. All right. So contractors who start tracking see results in 30 days. All right. And I will promise everybody here on this call that spent the last 5 minutes with me, every single one of you will see results. Okay. If you do these three things, every single one will see results. All right. We all want results in this world, right? We all chase these shiny objects and look for the easy wins, right? I can't make it any easier than this. So now we want to focus on payoff. A contractor narrowed the service track numbers and doubled profit, right? So we have an AI mentor system and a 90-day training system here for accountability, a contractor AI. We've been deploying it with customers. And this is on the production manager training side. All right. And as we've been deploying them, we're seeing some very, very, very good numbers. All right. One being we grew from 2 to 6 crews in 18 months. I'm going to put my hand up because it was me, right? I did that. I did that with one project manager who drove a truck for a living, had never, ever, ever done roofing, was in fact afraid of heights. Okay. So I'm going to put my hand up for the win. That was me. I did that with this program. All right. And it was all around. And I know we've talked on other conversations how to train and optimize somebody without using any of my own time or without using any of my staff's time and taking a very average player or below average and turning them into an A player. All right. That's the definition and the opportunity in the window we have before us. All right. Right now, as we sit, and the biggest game changer for the construction market, I think, coming at us. All right. And again, that's one project manager, by the way. That's one PM. Has 16 crews. Or yeah, that's almost 16 crews now underneath them. Pretty crazy, right? Not bad for 18 months. Hey, who would take that? Okay. That's the same process I'm bringing to every one of my clients. And again, like I said, I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission and I won't stop. All right. Allows me to grow 50 to 60% faster. I'm already on a good pace. Did I mention we have lots of other senior project managers that work with us that do a great job. All right. But never in my entire career have I grown a outsider into a absolute senior project manager talent in such a low period of time without a massive actually even with a massive investment we've never done that. Okay. So that opportunity is in front of you. Imagine replacing yourself, right? Imagine having somebody at your caliber and held accountable to your caliber, and you could manufacture them. What would
Let's
that
do
mean?
it now. I want to
Right?
do it now.
Everybody. We are doing it. We are. You're in the program.
Too
We are doing
slow.
it.
I want to go
Yeah, I know.
faster.
Right? That's always the thing. It'll never be fast enough. It'll never be fast enough. So what's your biggest data challenge? All right, let's have a conversation. If you want to have this conversation, unmute yourself. Let's chat. Let's talk about this. All right. I feel like it's something that doesn't get talked about enough or properly talked about. So what's your biggest data challenge?
What to track, when to track, how much to track, what's
Simple.
too much, what's too little.
I shared it with you directly. So if you want to start square one basic steps, all right, profitability, job costing, right? Where were the losses? Where are the things? Like track those on a weekly basis, you will see your whole world change, right? And I believe that you are pretty close on them. The problem that most people encounter and most contractors, and I'm going to be full disclosure here on this, all right, is that most contractors, all right, believe that their accountant or their bookkeeper does this job. All right. That is the biggest, most stupidest thing that has been laid upon us. All right. I'm not good at numbers. I don't like, I hear it all day. Okay. I want you to understand something. Okay. We have two accounting systems in our business. All right. Two accounting systems. We have the first accounting system. All right. That's meant to report your income to the government. We call this a regulatory system. That's your accountant, your bookkeeper. All right. That's your QuickBooks. It is always behind. And it's not really built or meant to give you real-time data, to allow you to make real-time data-driven decisions. By the time you find out, usually about the time that you're filing your taxes and reporting your income to the government, it's too late. And you don't know specifically what happened. Where was it, this job? Was it that job? Like it's too behind. It's too slow. All right. It's meant to be behind. All right. It's a regulatory accounting system. All right. Now, on the other hand, what is the most neglected, the most misunderstood is what we call our management accounting system. Okay. So this is management accounting is the best way I can explain it is everything from your job cost code, all right, to your schedules, to your job costing, to your cash flow projections, to everything that's looking into the future to help you make clear decisions. All right. And again, I'm sorry for my members that are regularly on this call. It must sound like a broken record, but I will continue to stand on what's right. When you have a good management accounting system, all right, you are capable of living 90 days in the future. All right. And good contractors live 90 days. What happens today, you have very little control over. What happens in 90 days from now, you have all the control over. All right. When you learn that, all right, you stop living in anxiety and fear. All right. You start to live in the moment, in the present right now. And it might sound like, what? He just said 90 days in the future. How could that be? It's because we're not making decisions. If you have to make a reactive decision today, all right, who knows where that decision will lie in 90 days? Who knows? All right. And again, most of the time when guys get to us, they've already made bad decisions 90 days before. Maybe it was to shut off their marketing. Maybe it was to, not make that key hire. Maybe it was to, play small, not really, focus on their sales and try to produce the work themselves. Like those are bad decisions that cost them, but they were made 90 days ago. They're only seeing the impact of that right now, right? They're only feeling the pain of it. And guess what? There is the roller coaster ride that we all tend to ride until we learn better, until we understand that, hey, listen, this is all predictable, right? It's all things when you look at these numbers that are telling a story of where you will be. All right. I mean, if you are less than 90 days worth of backlog right now, meaning you don't have 90 days worth of work out profitably that you can schedule within a small variance. Okay. How do you predict your cash flow? How do you know if you'll have enough cash to run it? How do you know if you have money to grow? How do you know what if you crushed your goals and you still didn't know and you played small and you lost all that profit because you turned off your marketing, right? Like these are the kind of things that happen when we don't look at numbers. We don't have a good system in place. And sometimes the right person to, slap you around a little bit and tell you to smarten up, that helps too. All right. Because again, we can look at numbers and see them sometimes different ways. But at the end of the day, in a contracting business, it doesn't have to be complicated. So tell me, is there anybody else here that has a data challenge? You should all have them because I didn't see any ones in the chat earlier. Oh, come
You
on,
got to
don't
be
be shy.
collecting data to have challenges.
Sure.
So we're going to start doing that.
Okay. So, and again, is it not scary? And I'm not gonna pick on you, Jacob. I think we've talked about this before too, a couple months
Yeah,
ago.
we
But
did.
yeah. So like you're not, the worst part is knowing you should, but like knowing what you need to do, but not doing it. Right?
Yep.
I think we all struggle with that. It's because everything else seems so much more urgent. All right. But it's really not important. Right. Like if we didn't make profit on the job and we don't change the way that we're doing things to make profit to guarantee it. All right. That is essentially taking your car out tonight, putting a blindfold on your head and driving down the highway the wrong way and hoping you don't crash, right? I don't know how else to put it. And again, some guys like that. Like it's thrilling, it's exciting. Yeah, no problem. And listen, I pull people regularly off that experience. All right, because long term you're just going to burn out. All right, long term you're not going to beat the odds. You're not going to beat the disciplined companies that come in that are operationally sound. All right, especially as economies go up and down, and God knows what happens, and you being in a border town and all that good stuff. Like, this is, if there's ever anyone that should be using these numbers, it should be you, right? You've got all types of outside pressures that can, you know, affect your whole business, right? And we don't want to
Yeah.
put everything we've worked for on the line for no reason, do we?
No. Can I go
Right?
back to one quick thing real quick? Can I ask you one quick
Yeah,
question?
yeah, absolutely.
So you're constantly changing your margins. Some
Always, always.
okay to make up for lost revenue or to
No,
for a
so it's
slow month
no,
or
no, no.
what?
It goes both ways, right? So let me put it to you like this. I have a backlog, right? I have a backlog of work. Okay. So let's say mine ideally is at 90 days. I don't want more than 90 days. I want to be right there in that 90 to 80 day flow because if it gets over 90 days for us, cost can escalate. Like there's a whole bunch of things. So I look at everything in 90-day blocks. All right. My first thing. So if my backlog, all right, is less than that, all right, and I have to suddenly become more competitive on my pricing. So let's say in early spring, right, I'm a little bit behind. All right. I might lower my margin for that month. All right. Not my like my profit, my net might come down a little bit. All right. To fill in that void. Now, the following month, we've exceeded our sales target. All right. I'm looking at my closing ratios. I know they sit about 30 to 40%. I'm just going to flood in more leads. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to recover that. So I'm going to increase my margin because my demand is higher. So meaning now it starts to get over 90 days. I got to slow the train down. What do? I increase my price. I increase my margin to slow it down.
Okay,
Right.
so you're working off supply and demand
Yeah,
then.
that's exactly.
I never thought
Exactly.
about that in the contracting world. That
That
just that didn't cross my
that's
mind.
That's what I mean by weaponizing pricing, right? When
Okay,
you know
that
your
makes
numbers
sense.
so specifically, all right, and we have every 4 weeks, all right, on the 15th of every month, we make a price adjustment to our margins. Okay. And that margin reflects 5 or 6 different factors, right, that go into like backlog, profitability from the last month, overhead recoveries, like all of that. So in most cases, again, right now, this time of year, all right, I'm at a 62% margin. All right. Now, early spring, that'll probably,
62%.
yeah, because we've taken the same amount of leads, right? All I'm doing now, my closing rate will drop. Yes. All right. We'll drop down into that 33-40%. Okay, cool. All right. That my sales reps still live in, like, they're still good. All right. So it means one less sale, but I'm still selling at a higher margin. So I'm going to maximize my profit because it's a high demand. Like, that's a predictable thing. It happens every year. Everybody wants everything done before Christmas. Great. What's the most expensive time to buy roofing, right? In this, from September to Christmas, right? A little bit cheaper in the spring. Yes, we're going to be a little bit more competitive, but not for long, right? Most years we just skip that whole ship because we've already got enough booked. All right. The other thing that most roofers do that is really silly is that everybody slows down in December. They lay their guys off, right? We don't do that. We actually ramp up our recruiting. We push hard through January, February in sales, and we build that backlog out, right? So that we can continue to protect the margin. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank
Right?
you.
Yeah, no problem. And by the way, you can do all of that, all right, from a spreadsheet in a job cost form. You can do all of that. You can make all of those critical decisions. We did for years. Now, if you want to get fancier, you want to work on, actual management accounting systems, all right, that's another conversation, something that we help implement, right? When you're ready to take your business to the $5 to $10 million range, like those are the kind of things that you want, and you want other people to make these decisions for you. All right. It gets a little bit harder with spreadsheets when you want other people to make these decisions, or you want to systemize those decisions.
Yeah, we got to get to the $500,000 range first.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you, I am giving you the legitimate formula to do that. It starts with job costing. There is nothing else more important at any point. And I mean, again, do it manually, do it whatever. All right. Follow the principles of our job cost training. We've given it to you before. Like, just do it. Right. You will know. And again, you're going to probably find out that, hey, you know what? If I made an improvement on my marketing, where should I see that? Where would I see that? When I make an improvement in my marketing, where would be
And
the
your
first
profits.
place? Okay.
Or
What about
client.
closing ratios? You're going to close more jobs. You're going to have more of the jobs you want to close, right? You're going to be more in line with the customer who pays you the most, right? There again, everybody here should have a burning desire to spend $30,000 a month on marketing. Yeah, I said that. Everyone here should have a burning desire and want to get to that stage where they are happily turning over $30,000 a month in marketing. All right. When you get to that, congratulations, you're a multimillionaire. All right. And now I don't mean throwing away $30,000. Right. I don't mean in looking at that as a cost. All right. I mean spending profitably $30,000 in marketing. All right. Again, I can barely get customers to $2,000 or $3,000 before it's too much and they're overproduction. And we run into the production issues, right? Myself in my own business, like again, I struggle to get 25, 20, like, because at that point you've cannibalized the whole area that you're in, right? You're everywhere. There's no more platforms I can go across. And I spend my marketing profitably. That again, with a return, right? I can guarantee myself when I put my dollar in here, I'm getting $4 back at the end, right? Within 90 days. How many times would you do it? How many times? Tell me.
Repeatedly.
And again, guess what? When you set your business up properly and you know your numbers, that's the game you get to play, right? That's why I'm sitting here. That's why I'm getting to do what I love to do. All right. Is because I learned how to play that game. All right. And I teach clients how to play that game. We play it, right? Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. But like the whole principle here is that there's only two ways to grow a business, right? Two ways, sales and marketing. All right. The more that you understand that there's no money in doing the work, no money, $0, never has been, never will be. All right. The more you recognize that and understand that, it's about getting that systemized, getting that, to a point where you can ultimately spend your days selling or not, hiring people to sell if you don't like selling. All right. But you will never have the confidence to do that without your numbers. Right. I've yet to see, I take that back. I have seen people grow businesses wildly out of control to multiple millions of dollars. I've done it myself. All right. But the person that I was there, like, I wouldn't invite him to dinner. I wouldn't have him around my kids. All right. That person I got rid of a long time ago. All right. Because I'm not going to have somebody in that kind of state of mind of panic and just general, instability because when you're making all those decisions and you're just flying by the seam of your pants, I mean, it can do all types of funny things to you, right? So again, you want control, you want growth, you want predictability. All right. Learn these things. And again, it's not just me saying it. I mean, you could probably look at any other influencers screaming it at the top of their lungs. But again, you how else are you going to get from point A to point B? All right. And keep your sense about you.
And not have a heart attack.
That's it. Or again, or not find out when you're 70 that it didn't work. Right? I see that more often than not, right? It's just easier to do what we already know how to do. Right. And that's again because of the anxiety, because of the stress, because things didn't work out. And so all these things happening all at once. When we get into that state of mind, all right, I call it hell on earth. It's a prison cell. All right. But when we're in that like fight or flight, which again, I don't know how you can't be in if you don't have these things to stable you out. But when we're in that fight or flight, we can only do what we already know how to do. And that's why change doesn't occur. Right? We can only do what we already know how to do. Nothing new, nothing creative, black and white. We're just out there grinding. Right? That's I don't know. We could do better, right? So, Jacob, your first aha moment, and anybody else that's listened this far, all right, should be when you do your job costing and you know your profits and you can predict your jobs within 2 or 5% variance, you will know you made it and you will have this aha moment where you go, "Ha, I can control. Ah, I do know how to price. Ah, this is a profitable business." Okay. Everything else works backwards from there, right? When we build it on a solid core.
Yeah, I'm gonna
That's,
get on my AI right now and see about it, creating a job costing sheet for us.
we've
So,
already
because
got one, Jacob. Don't
I
don't
know,
reinvent the wheel, dude. Just
I know, but we gotta come up with money to pay.
no. We gave it away to you for free. What are you talking
Oh,
about?
did you?
Yeah. You know what? I'll throw my Maria, can you throw the job cost link in there for us, please, for anybody
Like,
that's on
is
here?
it on school?
Yeah, it's on school too.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go
Yeah,
through
man.
school right now then. My bad. I
Yeah,
didn't
go for it.
I don't think I got that the last time because I remember hearing about this before, but
Yeah.
all
Is
right.
it just the simplest job cost sheet in the world, man? Honestly, not hard, difficult. We have a full training there for it. I give you no excuses. Sean, I see your hands up. What can I do? What can I answer for you?
All right. Well, I look forward to seeing that thing you were just talking about. But you said not to have. I have an in-house um accountant slash bookkeeper
Yeah.
keeping track of all that stuff. So why can't she? You said not to have them.
No, I didn't say not to. I mean that they're not trained, that like their job and their role, and this is the misconception, is that
Mhm.
you think that they should be producing this. All right. But they're taught a system that's regulatory. All right. Meaning like when they went to school and stuff, it's about producing your balance sheet and your profit and loss. Okay. It's about reporting the income to the government. All right. It's not about, hey, Sean, I think that this job cost code is off because in the last 3 jobs that we ran, I seen a lower margin.
Good. All right.
Big difference there, right? Don't run this cost code because I can see we're losing, 6%. Hey, Sean, the sales reps closing ratio this month has dropped dramatically. I think you should have a talk with him, right? And make sure he knows about that, right?
All
You
right.
see how
So
these things play out. So yeah, it's going beyond like it's the whole managing the business with numbers side, right?
yeah. So yeah, if you're outsourcing your accounting, then they're not going to look for that. But if you're
Hell
in-house,
no.
but if you're in-house,
In-house, you have a
you're
better chance if you
a
have the
teammate.
system.
We're
Yeah,
a team in here, so that's what we're looking for
right.
and
But
to grow.
it does not negate your responsibility, all right, to look at your numbers. All right.
Right.
Because again, if you haven't looked at your profit and loss, you haven't looked at your balance sheet, and you don't know how to read those documents or you don't know how to visualize your data, I think that's the biggest problem I see with contractors. And like one of the things that I try to work the quickest on is once you visualize your data, like meaning you can see it in charts and you can see growth patterns and stuff, the decisions are easy. They're right there in front of your face. But when we're looking at a spreadsheet, all right, a lot of us just look at it and we see that bottom line and we don't have any answers to how we got there. Right? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've
So
been we've been trying to get a system down to do that consistently for a while, and we have not accomplished that. So
okay. You're not the only one. All right. So again, I'm having this conversation because again, I feel like it needs to be said to everyone. And we all, at one point or another have come from that place, right? So if we're not always been there. So again, that's going to be the biggest improvement for you. And guys, listen, the one thing I'm going to say is everyone talks about all these other programs, everything else promise you what? Oh, you can operate a business without you, like all this other thing. Okay. The reality behind it is, all right, the only reason that I'm here is because I understand those numbers and I can still be in control without having to step foot in my office. Right? The numbers are the only things that don't lie. That's the only things that I can truly trust. And it's where I start first and I move my way down. All right. After that, that is the definition of accountability. All right. When you're coming to somebody and you're showing them facts and we're talking about real, proven things, it changes how people respond. Right. Same with, I'm sure if I came to you and was like, hey, Sean, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And here's the financial reason why. Here's the loss in your balance sheet. Like when it becomes that direct, are you going to make the decision? How can you argue? Right? How could you debate? Nope. And it's a funny little thing. When you have the right information at the right time, you make good decisions, right? You didn't get this far just because of, that you were a total hammerhead, right? Obviously, you've made some good decisions along the way, and you're capable of making good decisions, and you know what's best, all right? But you don't have the power to do that because you're not getting the right information at the right time to make those good decisions, right?
Yep. Those
So
decisions roll downhill. So if
absolutely.
you're right with your crews, you say, hey,
Yep.
what's going on? We're not here. We're not where we're supposed to be.
Right.
It's either ship up or ship out. So,
Well,
yeah,
and again, like, what
you
if
can,
the day came that you didn't have to have that conversation? What if
yeah,
your crews already knew, right? What if you, like we talked about it, what if the sales rep, and I showed you our, like, the way we do it, like when a sales rep's not performing, all right, it's in their face every day. They open up the CRM to put their estimates in, it's right there.
yeah,
Hey, you're underperforming. I don't have to say it. I don't have to be the guy to go to them and say, hey, you're underperforming. Like, if you don't ship up, are you going to ship out? They excuse themselves. They know they can't hang with us, right? Back to the car dealership with you. Fuck out of here, right? And that's like, again, that's when you're starting in. And again, that doesn't take you 6 months or a year to find out. That's that's 2 months, 3 months. You know what I mean? What's
yeah,
that mean? That opens the door to have somebody else come in. And guess what? The ones that you want, like the players that you want to have on your team, want to be recognized. Numbers recognize people, right? When someone's performing really well, do you not think they want a pat on the back? Right? Do you
yeah,
not want to be able to say, "Hey, great job this month. Like you hit all these KPIs. Great, awesome." That builds morale, right? On the other hand, if someone's done a really shitty job and you have to be the guy to say, "Hey, you know what? Like we're not performing well." At least we're starting from a point of truth. It's not you putting your opinion on them without any backing to it. All right. And you would be amazed how many times we make the wrong decisions because our foreman told us, hey, he's slacking. He must be the reason. And like pushes the attention onto him. But how many times have you reacted on those kind of things? Right. I bet you we've all fired a good employee because the foreman didn't like them or had a similar situation. I have. Right. There was one point in our business where, we had a near 90% churn rate of anybody under 90 days. 90%. How do you grow a business like that? Right. And that was all due to that. Right. So again, until you start realizing those things, and it's very hard for me to tell you, right? Don't ever just take somebody's word on it. You gotta you gotta trust, but you gotta check. Right.
yeah,
Takes away a lot of the noise. And there's definitely a lot of noise out there, is there not?
all over.
Yeah, that's it. Right. So again, yeah, take the simple steps. Okay, I threw that job costing sheet in for everybody that's interested. I think we got the training in there. So again, guys, I hope you got some value from today's call. If we have any other questions before we wrap up, now is the time to ask, right? Feel free if you want to throw your question in the chat. Okay, or unmute yourself, ask your question. Don't be shy. Okay. All right. Well, everybody have a wonderful day. Thanks for sharing your time with me, and let's take some action. Talk soon.